Today's video is a demonstration of a Sophos MDR investigation and response involving a phishing email attack. I will walk you through the steps taken by a threat actor, the end user, and how a Sophos MDR threat analyst investigated and resolved the attack. Here we can see from the perspective of the threat actor as they began their attack by drafting a phishing email. The email is carefully crafted to appear legitimate and provide a sense of urgency. They then attach the password-protected zip file, which prevents an email security gateway from scanning the contents. They include the password in the body of the email and hit send. Here we can see the user receiving the email, downloading the attachment, and unzipping it with the provided password. As you can see, the threat actor created a fake Microsoft Azure Cloud Security Signature image and embedded a malicious script behind the Open button. When the user clicks on Open, it triggers the malware to execute. For demonstration purposes, Sophos Runtime Protection, Deep Learning, and Real-Time Scanning were disabled to allow the malware to execute. With the default protections enabled, Sophos Intercept X would have immediately detected and deleted the OneNote file once it was unzipped from the encrypted archive. As soon as Sophos identified the suspicious activity, it created a case on the MDR platform and assigned it to an MDR threat analyst. They then begin their investigation by following the OODA loop process, which stands for Observe, Orient, Decide, and Act. In the observe phase, the analyst will begin gathering key pieces of information from the various threats identified by the XDR tool, such as associated users, hosts, process IDs, threat IDs, and command line arguments. The MDR platform automatically clusters associated behavioral threats into one case. From there, they will navigate to the customer's Sophos Central dashboard, where the majority of the investigation will be completed. The first step is to check the device health status to ensure all Sophos services are still running. They then review the device events to identify any new information that was not already generated on the MDR platform. Next, they will navigate to the Threat Graphs tab to identify additional related processes and connections. The root cause is identified by the red dot, which in this case is Microsoft OneNote executing the file invoice-review.1, noted by the blue dot as the beacon. They will gather the associated IP connections to perform open source intelligence to identify if any of the connections were truly malicious, as well as collect any child processes, connections, file creations, registry key modifications, and hashes. Additional artifacts can be collected from the Detections tab, where the XDR toolset has mapped alerts to the MITRE ATT&CK framework. Here we can see a command and control tactic identifying a PowerShell command downloading a file from the internet, as well as a defense evasion tactic identifying generate_file.cmd executed via OneNote. Additionally, a persistence tactic identifying a regadd command for sticky.ps1. The analyst will then navigate to the Live Discover tab, where they will begin querying the device for live information. The first query ran is to identify all current open connections to ensure there are no open malicious connections. The result of the query can be exported to a CSV file for easier viewing. Going forward, I will show the exported CSV files and associated information. You can easily identify all processes making outbound connections, their file path, hash value, and the remote address. In this case, there are no malicious active connections. The analysts then leverage open source intelligence as well as internal threat intel feeds and tools to determine if a process, file, or IP address is safe or malicious. In this case, there are no active malicious connections. The next query identifies all historical running processes for the past 1 hour. This helps the analyst understand what the user was doing before and after the detection. The highlighted blue items are suspicious commands that the analyst will add to their investigation to query against later. With this query, we can easily identify the parent process for each command and their timestamp in UTC. The next query builds a process tree for the previously identified OneNote execution of generate_file.cmd. This allows the threat analyst to identify all child process activity, including DNS requests, file modifications, and registry key changes. This next query identifies the process that created the file sticky.ps1, as well as determines if the file is still written to the disk. Here we identify what process created the original invoice-review.1 file that is the root cause of this detection. We can see that the file was created via a Microsoft Edge browser. Lastly, the analyst reviewed the startup items to determine if persistence was set. Here we can see that the startup item, StickAround, exists and will execute a file from the temp directory on system startup. The analyst will then retrieve the user's Microsoft Edge history file to determine where the invoice-review.1 was downloaded from. To do this, they will retrieve the file from the host via the MDR platform and import the database file into a standalone SQL database. From there, they can identify the specific URL. In this case, it was an Outlook web portal. With the initial investigation complete, the analyst will now retrieve all artifacts from the host to submit to Sophos Labs for further review. Submitting artifacts to Sophos Labs allows them to perform a more thorough analysis of the files and grow our threat intelligence, allowing us to rapidly build new protections throughout all Sophos products. There are multiple actions that an analyst can take via the Actions tab within the MDR platform, such as retrieving a file, removing a registry key, blocking an IP, disabling an account, and removing a WMI event. With the files pulled from the host, the analyst will begin removing them along with the associated startup item, StickAround. The analyst's investigation notes are saved directly in the case via the OODA tab, where all their findings are documented. This includes things like the associated users, file paths, command lines, unique process IDs, and any persistence items found. Based on that information, the analyst will write a brief orientation for the direction of the attack and the MITRE techniques utilized. They will then write a decide statement describing what happened during the event and whether or not any additional remediation is required. Lastly, they will answer the act portion, which will either be to escalate to the customer or resolve the case with notifications on. Upon completing the investigation, the analyst will draft an email to all authorized contacts, providing a high-level analysis of the attack, along with any recommendations for the customer to complete. Once the email is sent, the customer can view it via their email inbox or within Sophos Central in the MDR Cases tab. Overall, the case was created within 3 minutes, where we identified a potential living-off-the-land binary attack. The investigation took 15 minutes, along with 4 minutes to remediate, putting the case total time at 22 minutes. The recommendations are actions that fall out of scope for the MDR team, or they simply do not have access to complete those actions. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you for watching.